We're back. Hello, everyone. It's we've been on a hiatus of holidays and vacations and illnesses and goodness. But I don't know about you, Tiffany, but I am grateful to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. We are going to be talking about doom scrolling.
What a time to have that conversation. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so um we should give a few disclaimers, I think, just because the state of the world for many things. So, if you're already very distressed, maybe about the news cycle or I don't know, a certain political issue or whatever that thing is, like this can be helpful, but I just want to maybe give a heads up that like that's what we're going to focus on for like the entirety of this episode. So if you're really not wanting to like sit with that yet, I just think we should give that person a heads up, Tiffany, because like it's just gonna feel like maybe like too strong a cup of coffee if you're here with us today. So if you're not in a place that yet, maybe you will be later, come back to it. But like that's what we're going to focus on in doom scrolling. And maybe this is a helpful recording for you, an episode to listen to if you are noticing the struggling. But I will share that Tiffany and I kind of organically came to this of just noticing both of us feeling that pull and things like our algorithms kind of getting us there and needing to kind of refresh our boundaries. So, Tiffany, I don't want to steal everything, but I know we've talked a lot about this idea in this episode ahead of time.
Yeah, no, I don't think you stole the thunder. I'm excited to get on my mini soapbox about how detrimental doom scrolling can be and how many hours you can wonderfully lose while doom scrolling.
I love it. Maybe it'd be helpful for us to start off with the definition, Tiffany. So, like when we are taught, when you hear the term doom scrolling, I'll say what I think it is, and if you want to confirm that definition. So doom scrolling, I think, is when we start to scroll past a mindful point and we start to get into a more negative emotional state, getting very reactive, distressed, and like we continue past that point. We don't listen to those signals of, oh, I'm getting distressed. We just continue to consume, consume, consume. Uh, and we're maybe losing track of time and we're not feeling well. Like this doesn't help us feel better. That would be the definition I would think of personally and then slightly clinically. But Tiffany, what definition would you give?
Yeah, I mean, not very different, pretty much almost the same thing. It's just, when I think of doom scrolling is you go past that intentional, I need a break, and you look at the time and you're like, "Oh shit, like I've lost an hour and I only meant to give like 10 minutes to this break and now things are feeling pressured."
I think that is a wonderful definition. And I just want to say technology is very good at this. Like we sound old, Tiffany, when we say this, but like back in the day, no corporations even really had Facebook accounts or professional social media. It was just silly. Like they were just your random cousin that was posting something. Like the algorithm didn't really change. It was like how novel to it was all time bound. So if you logged in it for, you saw what your friends had posted before. There wasn't like a feed where it was like top featured and whatever, it wasn't driven like that. But that's where we are now. So if like someone comments on something or if you follow a news agency and they post a story and it's getting a lot of traction, that's what it's going to go. Also, if you're someone that stops on certain, articles or pausing, like all of that is tracked. Clicks,
Even
engagement.
a slight hesitation. I noticed the other day I slightly
Yes.
hesitated on something because I was like, "Oh, like what is this?" And then it started popping up even more. I'm like, "Oh no, I hesitated too long."
This isn't like a conspiracy like the Loch Ness monster. Like this is the science behind what
The
is
algorithm.
happening.
Yep.
Um, I just want to give my favorite thing maybe I learned from intro psychology for just a second, or maybe even social psychology about like how advertising works. I think a lot, I don't know, I like to think of myself as a smart person. And I think, oh, advertising doesn't work on me. I make my own decisions. But I just want to explain how advertising works because I think it plays into this, Tiffany, what we're talking about. So advertising is all of those ads on podcasts, we are not sponsored. So you're not getting ads when you're here. You're just hearing us give our disclaimers and talking. But if it's on a podcast, a commercial, a billboard, it's trying to inform and shape your behavior and steer you into a certain direction of a choice. So if you are watching a commercial for McDonald's, McDonald's doesn't measure the success of that commercial of how many people immediately go to McDonald's after the commercial. What they're looking at is like when someone gets hungry for lunch, where do they go? What are they trying to go and see? When someone is going to buy a product, how is that shaping? Like that is how advertising works. But I think there's this misunderstanding. So like, well, I didn't just buy a car. I didn't just now go to McDonald's, but that's how advertising shapes our behaviors. And if I can go down one other rabbit hole for just 1 second, Tiffany, like we have like connections with influencers. So this is why influencers also are a part of our doom scrolling and connecting is that we are as humans, we make relationships. Like we find meaning in things. So we have something called a parasocial relationship with an influencer. So if I follow my favorite NFL influencer reporter and I'm looking at their stories and I'm reading their articles and I see their posts, like I can know they're not my friends, but I feel like I have a relationship. That is why all of these companies pay for them to feature products and influence because, like it or not, that does influence us and shape us. Well, oh, Adam Scheffner thinks that that is a good wine or a good restaurant. So I want to tie this back into doom scrolling. If someone that we're following shares an article or organizations, that is going to play a role. So, if we're following certain things, engaging with certain content, like that is going to be featured in this depending on the type of content you are consuming online. Tiffany, you're our tech guru here, so that's about as techy as I'm going to get today, but I just find it fascinating and terrifying.
It is fascinating. I don't know if I can say I'm very tech savvy though when it comes to social media. Like, do I occasionally get on TikTok and like look at things and then within like a span of like 10 to 15 minutes get overwhelmed by how much annoying things are being thrown at my way? Yes. I like don't I don't like I understand how doom scrolling can happen and how you can get sucked into the vortex, especially if you're like emotionally overwhelmed and your brain is seeking like a dissociative outlet that is different than just sitting and staring at a wall. But at the same time, like for my brain personally, like it feels like nails on a chalkboard. Like, when I'm on TikTok for longer than, like, 5 to 10 minutes to look at the reels, like, that friends and family have sent me, because my brain is like, "This is just information that, like, I, like, don't necessarily care about," but I also don't really like how, like, if I do something that is, like, outside of, like, just looking at the TikToks people have shared with me, then I know that people are, like there's an algorithm that's making assumptions about my brain, and my brain is so, like, curious about anything and everything, and I'm like, "This feels icky." That you're essentially saying, like, "Oh, because your brain had X curiosity or because your brain took X amount of time to process, we're now going to, like, shift and remove or add certain things to your algorithm to, like, narrow it down to, like, keep you here in this space." It seems very, like, very
Yeah.
manipulative.
Well, Um, God, I want to go so many directions, Tiffany. You know some of the things I want to record on future episodes, but like gambling, gaming, like loot crates, all of those things. But that is a known thing. Like the longer you can keep someone in your business, the more they're going to spend. So like I'm kind of very drawing down. So like, yes, they want you to stay on the app and keep that infinity scroll, right? Keep scrolling from the next video to the next video to the next video to the next video to the next thing to the next article. Because if you're still consuming, they can put advertisements in there. So you're generating income for Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, whatever. Like when you are getting ads, like you are feeding the reimbursement for that business model. So they have an incentivized to keep you there.
Mhm.
I mean, even accounts, I don't know if they know this by not. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen those clearly like robot accounts where they're taking clips of videos or favorite movies, but they don't finish the clip. So then you're sitting there and going, like, there is just, engineering of ways to keep people like, oh, wait, where's the number one? Let me watch it again. Like, so there's all these ways of kind of skewing views or engagement or going. Um, so all of those things. So that's where it's like, me as a human being, I like to think I'm a smart person, informed, but I have to be very mindful. Like, is this AI now? Is this not even a real quote? Is this not even a real picture? Is this not even a real situation? Like, things
Mhm.
were already always made up on the internet. We know this, but whole different ball game to me when you have AI that can make video that matches voices and like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also too, thinking about like the things that have like likes and like follows, you have all these bots now where they will like, like it or like skew the amount of likes that are not even real people so that it can give the impression that a lot of people are watching it or a lot of people are liking it, a lot of people are clicking on it, which can also, skew the way that things are going, which can be really kind of like, yeah, it leaves you in that vortex of like what's actually real, what's actually being consumed, like what is like the actual thing that's happening.
And that's, I'm just sitting here as a mental health informed person and clinician. I'm like, it has to be so tough to be someone who struggles with managing maybe like hallucinations or delusions, because my God, you can find just about everything.
And I don't want to get us too sidetracked, but then that brings up like the thought process around like the chat GBT, the chat AI, like psychosis, where like because of the information that is out there that is like being overgeneralized is can be used in a unhealthy way to like perpetuate or spur on unhealthy thought patterns, which
And it's
is
just so
deeper
easy
dive
to
for a
get.
different day.
I know, it's like there's so many things I think this ties into. Um, but just knowing what doom scrolling is, and just maybe acknowledging like that, like, I don't want to say that's, I don't think, Facebook is sitting there and they're like, I mean, maybe they are, but I don't think they're saying like, hey, let's make people feel terrible. But like their business model is to keep you there, keep you consuming things, and lengthen the amount of time you're on their app or consuming. So if that is the main goal, that is different than like, how could we make everybody just get on in a few minutes, stay informed and stay connected, which may be the original idea of social media, but I don't want to get like too complicated
Hmm.
here. But it's just a different goal. So just recognizing that like this is maybe, I could see people arguing like, is this the main intent or the side effect? But it is a thing and it can happen. And it may be like you're rage baiting yourself and you don't know. Like you're going to the opposite political party's content, you're in the comment section, um, trying to manage things or get things together,
Hmm.
and you're pushing back and forth, and and for what, right? For what purpose? We can say, things matter, and like there are certain causes that absolutely do matter, but what are you changing truly would be my question going through that experience. Now, I mean, social justice, it's inconvenient. We have to fight for what is right. So that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying when you're sitting there, you know, past a reasonable amount of time, like what is it costing you to do that? Your peace. I mean, even your physical health.
Hmm.
I'll share
Ooh,
this. Oh, go ahead, Tiffany.
we can circle back to it. We 100%
No,
don't
no,
have to
no.
answer it right now. But like, I guess like, how do you determine what's a reasonable time? Considering that like as you're talking about like losing your peace and like impacting your health. Because I know like that's been a rub that I've come up against of like some people are like, oh, like I like can't be on at all, or some people are like, oh, like I can be on like 3 or 4 hours and I'm fine. I'm like, how does one evaluate a reasonable time frame for themselves?
I think it depends on the person. So I would say, I'm going to speak for myself in general when I'm talking with people. I say after an episode of Netflix, what really changes, right, for your self-care routine. So I love me a good binge. Like Lord knows I've sat and finished a show. Just watched the also lovely new Fallout show on Amazon Prime, or the new season. It's lovely. But what really changes after one episode? So I guess I'm trying to think of the equivalents of social media. Like what changes after 20 minutes, 30 minutes of consuming, keeping up? So I
Yeah.
think that's where I do think there's some personal flexibility, but it's not something like maybe for like I'm thinking of alcohol, right? Like, hey, problematic drinking, more than a drink an hour, more than 3 drinks in one day. Okay, like that's what we're kind of looking at. Like, I don't know if like there is that yet for this, but I think it's knowing, hey, this is maybe too much for me. Or even by ages, right? Like, I mean, if we're thinking about 15, 16-year-olds, we probably don't want that age range just sitting online knowing that they're getting steered certain things, whether that's like a
Mhm.
young man, young woman. Things can, there's just a lot of things getting pushed instead and fed and steered.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, that's a really good way to frame it in terms of like making sure you're evaluating like how are you feeling after like one episode? How are you feeling like when you do catch yourself having been on TikTok for 10 minutes versus an hour versus like 3 hours? And really sitting down and evaluating like
Yeah.
how am I
I've had
feeling?
I mean, I know you can set timers in the app, but maybe just set like, you could try to take in a moment, but I would say anything past 30 minutes, probably take a break. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know like what are we like, what is it giving you? Is it information? Is it keeping up? Is it entertainment? Like what is it giving you? What are you seeking? And I think that's like a good check-in to have.
Mhm.
Because these things have a cost. I mean, I'm just thinking about, I mean, one can get very easily upset. I mean, if we're just talking trauma informed too, I mean, this is a whole other thing. Like these apps are not trauma informed. I mean, I'm just sitting here as a substance use counselor, as a gambling counselor, and the amount of things that my folks see on these apps, which there's some ways they can opt out, but it's like maybe they don't want to let Facebook know, hey, I'm in recovery from gambling or alcohol. Like it's
Mhm.
horrible. So it's just thinking about that of like any of the triggers, whether that's all these different types of things, like, there's just it's just too massive at this time if you're asking me for it to be a trauma informed experience, or just even what people are saying or doing. um
Yeah.
you know I don't know. I just think there's so many things that could be out there that one could possibly see, that just being mindful is really necessary, like a mindful consumer. Like what are you consuming? Like what needs to change maybe.
Yeah.
So I think that was the other part, is talking about boundaries a little bit. But yeah, Tiffany, go ahead.
I just makes me really curious if we were to buy a new phone, a brand new account, not attached to anyone's name, give it a fake name, get on a TikTok and see like where is the base algorithm even start?
That's interesting. I have this memory of like starting a TikTok account. Wasn't connected to any social media. Now, granted, it's on my phone, and it was the weirdest thing. And I remember kind of messing with it, and forget what I watched. I watched like some kind of silly Plankton SpongeBob thing, and then it was that. But like, it was very interesting to see how within like a few weeks it kind of knew what I wanted to see or didn't. Um, yeah, the old hot take for just a second. I think the old algorithm before it was sold to the US firm was much better and more interesting. Just being honest, I don't think it's as good. So I have found myself almost completely off TikTok. 'Cause I'm like, this is just not as good. Which we could go into that for a few hours easily. But yeah, there's just a lot of things um, that we need. And so, we want to make sure people feel like they have boundaries with this. So, I'm going to hold myself accountable here. I don't have any time limits on the apps on my phone. I don't, so I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. That is one very easy suggestion, though. If you're finding yourself spending so much time on one, put the timer at 20 minutes. One of my dear friends doing different things. Um,
So I hear you on that, and that makes me my brain wants to challenge you just a little bit. What do you
go for it.
tell individuals who come into session or maybe just in general where they're like, well, the time doesn't work because I know I can just get around it. And then I just end up either going around it or deleting it. And then I'm right back at square one. Like, what would you, I guess, like, one, what would you say? Well, how would you describe to them, like, what's happening? Two, like, for the people that know that, like, oh, I can just remove the app. Like, why would I keep this on there? What would be some other challenging way so that maybe they don't feel like, oh, well, I just suck because this timer thing doesn't work?
Oh, well, I think it's different for everyone. So I guess that's a great. I don't think anybody sucks. I think it's like, I mean, if someone's every day spent an hour on Facebook and then they try to go to 10 minutes, I'm like, I'd be honest, like, is that a realistic change? Right? What are you gonna feel like? Like, I'm just being said, like, what do you do in the morning? Like, if you spend your first 30 minutes scrolling your feeds and check it, what do you do in the morning? Like, so I'm struck by, like, sometimes with DBT, we talk about, like, we need to have coping skills before we have more mindfulness, because more mindfulness on its own is not helpful. Like, now you just are aware of how bad you feel physically or stressed or depressed. Like, we need coping skills. So whether we can say it's the best coping skill, people are using this as a coping skill. So we need to have some things that they're doing instead. And I know you know this, Tiffany, we are more effective as humans if we have goals that are pro-social versus don't do something. So instead of, I'm not going to drink anymore, it's like, I'm going to be more mindful in the morning. And so because I'm being more mindful in the morning, I'm not going to go. So my real question is, like, I want to customize it to that person, explore what is it giving them, see if we can find a need. But no, do I think there's anything wrong with somebody if deleting the apps works better, or timers? Um, no, I don't think I would judge. But I also come from, like, a harm reduction lens where it's like, what is, like, where can we grow? Like, what can we do? So for me, I found people that are like, hey, I can't get off Facebook, I can't do it, but I'm willing to take it off my phone, or I'm willing to put this timer in, or I'm willing to only do it at this time, or when this stuff is done. That's what I see. That's what I hear. But I don't know, Tiffany, it's a good question. So if you have someone that's saying, "Hey, that doesn't work. I tried to put the limits on my phone. That didn't work at all. What do you got for me?" Like, what's your approach?
Yeah. Uh, my approach is more of like the emotion. Like I usually have them do like the emotional journal, where it's
Mm,
like, all right, when you were on social media or you're aware that you're going to take a social media break, how long do you want to stay on? How long did you actually stay on? And what feelings did you end up feeling? Good? Did you end up feeling bad? Was it helpful to like have the social media break? Was it not? So that there's like an actual written log they can look back on and be like, oh, like this is what social media is doing to like my emotions and how it's making me feel.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That could be a very interesting question. Like, could we just delete social media? Uh, should we? But I guess, and I don't know, maybe I'm just, like, too comfortable with this discussion, because, like, for me, like, this discussion comes up all the time about alcohol, cannabis, opioids, whatever. Like, that discussion is like, we should just get rid of drugs. And it's like, well, hang on for a second, though, because if I break my hip, I sure hope and pray that the hospital has liquid drip fentanyl to manage my pain, or else I don't even know what I would be feeling, honestly. Like, so, like, none of this has to be evil. Like, I think everything can be unhelpful or helpful. I mean, maybe we could go without alcohol, but then again, like, alcohol has been used to clean. I don't know. It just gets complicated, right? So I think we have to be careful. Like, oh, it's all evil, it's all bad. It's like, but because people are going to do things, right? People are going to consume substances. People are going to get on social media. So it's like, do we say, oh, I'm not going to do it at all, or not? Like, we probably need to focus on, like, what are those boundaries. So I love that, Tiffany, with, like, the emotion journal. And it's just, what purpose are we serving, right? Like, are you torturing yourself? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
we've talked about this. How many people that we've worked with, like, they're going online, it's like torturing themselves. Like, oh, I really want a family. And then you just keep scrolling and look at everybody who has what you don't have, or, oh, I really want a new car. And then you see it's just like, is it, oh, I'm so happy? Are we looking in a place of abundance or scarcity? Are we
Mhm.
like, oh my God, like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And so that would be my discussion. And I think that's a very personal one for each person.
It is, and I think, like, whenever you were talking about, like, the drip, I didn't catch the medication. But, it's very black and white. I think sometimes we get very stuck up in this black and white of, like, we can either have it or we can't have it, versus, like, you're allowed to moderate yourself or, things some things just generally need moderation, so that we can, like, function and be okay in some level, and that looks different across, like, medications for, like, pain versus, like, social media.
100%. And, it's just something where I just don't know how realistic that is, and I guess maybe because of just coming from my substance use lens today of, like, not everyone is going to be able to do the all or nothing approach. Some people can, like so AA works really well. Old school AA is like, "Hey, you stop cold turkey right now or don't even come in." That's old school. And that does work for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone or most people. And so that's where I'm like, I want to help the most people. So it's not like, hey, just everyone delete your social media, get away. But being mindful, I mean, even just, I know we record this podcast, Tiffany, but like sometimes I need a podcast break. I'm gonna be real. Like I don't want to. I'm like I just need to sit. I want to listen to music. I want to talk to someone instead. I don't need to just keep consuming, even if it's mental health stuff or whatever. Like it just we have different needs, different places. And so, and I just don't know if our culture promotes moderation. In fact, I would say it doesn't. I'm just thinking about in my high school experience, Tiffany, if we assume everyone goes through high school, like, I don't think I ever was taught, like, yeah, watch out if you watch TV all day or not. Like, I mean, it was like, hey, go move or whatever, but no one was like, oh, be careful. I mean, I just remember, at least when I was in school, I'm dating myself. It's like, yeah, influencers aren't a thing. You're not going to be famous. And it's like, well, obviously that is a thing for not everyone, but some people. There's just a lot of stuff. So it's like I just don't think it's understood. So I think we have this mix of like really this generation is probably the first generation that's growing up where
Oh,
social media has always been around.
the iGen?
Yeah, those that like iPod, even heard that? Like
Oh,
2000s.
okay.
Yeah.
My brain was like, "Wait, what? This is a new generation. I haven't heard."
No, well, I mean, there's the names are changing all the time, but I think about those born in like 2000, those that are like 25, 21. I mean, not that we're that much ahead of them, Tiffany, but like that generation, like social media was always around for them in some form or fashion.
This is true. I always that's one thing that I, like, sometimes, like, find myself pausing and thinking about of, like, what is it like to, like, have been born and raised in a generation where, like, social media has always been there. Like, that is the prime, like, social stomping grounds for you versus, like, my generation, like, we didn't have it until high school?
I don't know. I know there's so many different directions, I think, that come up, but I think, just being mindful and aware. I will give one shout out to what I think is a trauma informed experience that I've seen recently is like blurred images on Facebook or ESPN, like sharing of like sports injuries at the Olympics or things. So it's like you can say, hey, like warning, this shows an accident of like, so there's some things I see like that where I'm like, okay, like that is trauma informed. I just don't think everything about social media is trauma informed. So like there are things that can be done, and, I just think while we're talking about like social media, like there's some communities that are wonderful. Like I know I'm in some with some fellow healers and therapist groups, and like it's very supportive, very meaningful. I mean, there's folks for groups for people in recovery, survivors of domestic violence. So like social media has some amazing things that like we really, I don't know how we would have them without it, where it's like, I just learned of a network specifically for women in recovery from gambling disorder, and they just support each other and help each other get started in that process. Like there is beautiful things there. I'm just being honest. I don't know how many of us are consuming that version of social media and just that sloth of just scroll, 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 scroll. It's
Mhm.
that's the part where I think it's like, what content are you engaging with? What are you learning about? Uh, what's getting your attention? What's getting your focus? And because it does shift it. I had an experience where I was in my own therapy, and they have something called like a heart math, and it's like biofeedback,
I love
and
Heartman.
yes. So I was very happy. I loved my counselor. She is the best. And she's like, "Oh, well, think about something angry." And I was like, "I'm not angry. I'm in therapy. And then she's like, "Okay, and if you know me, this is hilarious." She's like, "Picture driving here." And I was driving across Cincinnati during rush hour. And I was like, "But I'm not really doing anything." She's like, "No, just keep thinking about it. I want you just to picture it, keep going." And so then she showed me the machine. And what I thought of driving, just sitting there in my one of my safest places in the world, right? My heart spiked. I was stressed. I had this response to it. And so I give that silly, somewhat serious example to say, like, we might not even be aware. I wasn't even aware that my body was stressed. So I think you could be sitting there completely flat, looking at whatever and
Mhm.
be raging, but like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. Like,
Yes.
try not, right? It
Yeah,
changes your whole response.
yes, it's funny enough, I had a therapist, that had me do heart math while I was playing a video game, because they were like, "This would be interesting to see, just to see what your heart is doing,"
Oh
and
my
it,
god.
like, the graph from where I was playing my video game versus not, you could compare it to, they compared it to, like, a graph where someone was running, like, that's how much your heart
Is it
I
wrong that
know.
I wanna know what game it is? Like, and it's gonna be like Stardew Valley? No, I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
I
It
gotta
was
sell
just a
these
competitive,
turnips.
competitive MMO online with a bunch of
Nice.
people, and,
Respect.
yeah, and she was like, "So your heart's doing this when you are telling me you're engaging in something that you find relaxing, or you go home and you
Damn.
play video games to relax, and your heart looks like someone's with it when it's running," and I was like, "Oh,
Well,
this is
she
actually
sounds
kind
like
of."
a very good therapist.
Yeah, it was really fascinating, though, where I'm sitting here like, "Man." Like, I don't think I made the realization that, like, physiologically you can be stressed and mentally not recognize it.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, this is why I had to stop playing Call of Duty. I love Warzone. I am not the best at it, and I had to stop because it's like I was actually getting, like, actually angry. Like, it was like, "Okay, this is too like, for me, this is too much." Like, I need like, there's real in my brain, I'm like, "There's real shit going on in the world that I should be upset about. I should not be upset that I suck at Warzone, and I am not able to, like, hang." Um, but anything else for you, Tiffany, on this topic?
I don't think this topic, did we technically cover the boundaries? I know we mentioned it, and I think I sidetracked us per usual.
No, I think this was a good discussion, but I think one of the things we're interested in for maybe next time is talking about process disorders. And so some of the things that can happen, like process addictions. So that will be what we do with our next episode. But I just want to thank everyone for being here today, giving us the chance to talk about this, and let us know some of your experiences. Like, what are your kind of boundaries, working, not working? What's that been like? And just kind of let us know. We look forward to hearing from you, and I really hope you guys are going to like our next episode. I am super excited about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We even talk about video games.
Woo!